Well, stock prices have just surpassed their previous all-time high. Everything here is sequential. Seeing as how the stock market is setting new all-time highs, you might be wondering why the cryptocurrency market is acting this way today. Although I am aware that this boils down to the most tired justification, manipulation, there are a few points I would like to make. I see what you're saying. There is market manipulation going on that works against you. Go away from it. This market and traditional markets are getting ready for the major events of the year, including the FOMC meeting, and the large market makers and whales are ruffling feathers once again. We just crossed 6,600, so let's get back to stocks for a second. I'll explain this later. My 6,960 goal is currently within striking distance. When stocks are dull, that's when you want to pay attention to them the most. Just because the stock market is really thrilling right now. Stocks are the center of attention because, well, you guessed it, they're using a pump. Something about this is really thrilling, and this is diverting focus away from other investing opportunities, such as cryptocurrency. But stock levels will be met. This dates all the way back to the beginning, to the moment when the crypto market began to take off. I remember it from November. Yes, stock prices were soaring at the same time. Eventually, even in the summer. Despite the continuous decline in the cryptocurrency market, stock prices continued to rise to fresh all-time highs. I found it uninteresting. Since everyone was thinking, guess what? I could be making so much money over in the stock market, no one liked crypto. I don't understand why I'm still sitting on my crypto holdings after the market crashed in July and August. However, it was a lengthy process that lasted until around the last week of September. In order for stock prices to recover, and even then, things began to grow dull. And this is the reason why cryptocurrency saw a surge in investment. Naturally, crypto was going bonkers at the time. The stock market is booming at the moment. Consider it from this perspective. We are still up more than 4% from where we started in September to where we are now. This may not seem significant on the S&P, but trust me, it is. If you're into trading regular stocks, you're going to love this. There hasn't been much happening outside of this cryptocurrency since early September. Indeed, there have been commendable advancements within the past week or two. However, many things are superficial on the whole. On average, H4 is 3% higher than last week. Even with XRP's 1.4% gain, most older coins are trading at or somewhat below those levels. Also, the cryptocurrency market hasn't seen astronomical growth in the past few weeks or months, so many are asking why they should bother investing in equities instead. If the stock market is going crazy, then why aren't we? It all boils down to the fact that they want to throw you off your guard before the market's largest surge starts, and we're also in an incredibly exciting time for equities. Thus, they will assume some dominance, similar to what happened with gold in, February or March. Actually, it wasn't quite in the middle. It was more so in the beginning. Just after the trade war ended, tensions began to rise over tariffs. Ignoring that aside, this is precisely why we shift our attention to different markets. Because as one product becomes stale, another becomes fascinating. Transferring funds from one market to another is all it is. We are not yet in the off-season, which is why I mentioned it as well. Flows of liquidity are all that. Presently, we will examine the market briefly. Indeed, we did reach a peak of approximately 4.09 trillion before selling off to 3.99 trillion. At about 51, there is a lot of greed and fear. Not much going on there. This brings us to the 71st spot on the old coin season index. Once again, there has been absolutely no radical change from the last time I gave you an update. However, Bitcoin is the only thing I'm interested in. Thus, it's no secret that Bitcoin is losing value. Michael Saylor did in fact purchase further Bitcoin. There is always a small dip in the market whenever he purchases Bitcoin. This happens frequently. For a long time now, I have been keeping tabs on it. Every time Michael Saylor makes a purchase, the Bitcoin market usually has a sell-off. If you've been tracking his acquisitions for the past 24 months or so, you might already be aware of this. When we consider this, will it be a permanent discount? On the contrary, what usually happens is a little dip in the market just before things become hot again. Also, I think the market will go hot again before the FOMC meeting. We are currently experiencing a reversal and, in my view, a shakeout in the run up to the FOMC meeting. Ethereum, too, is not bashful about this. Additionally, XRP is somewhat acting in reverse, as we are already beginning to rebound from those lows. Ethereum is still not very high. In this area, Bitcoin is likewise relatively unchanged. Another factor contributing to the current market downturn is the overall three-way closing position. Thus, all three of these markets, commonly known as the altcoin market, did close near resistance, specifically at the highs from early December and mid-December. This is something I've said before, and I reiterated it just before the weekly candle closed. I warned that a significantly larger breakout would be impossible until the old coin market closed over the 1.3 trillion mark. It will not be able to maintain this significant upward momentum. Therefore, we fell short of our goal. Right around resistance, we closed. For the time being, we will likely continue to chop until we witness that significant upward push. Now, I believe that the upward momentum will start following the FOMC meeting. There will likely be some ups and downs this week, but by the weekend, we should have seen a much bigger breakout, and next week, when the market heats up, could be fantastic. In my opinion, the FOMC meeting will serve as a spark that, once ignited, will cause a chain reaction that will rapidly escalate the situation. On top of that, Bitcoin has also crossed the 116.9 thousand mark. We need to turn this support around. On the chart, it also appears as resistance. Consequently, we achieved that. Retesting this red zone, making some cuts here, retesting this 116.9K level, and maybe getting a huge break across it are the primary things I'm considering right now. We still haven't won the 3-day structure race, even after that. For the time being, primary objective is for us to surpass the 116.9K mark and subsequently clear 120,000. There's a lot of resistance up here, and once we break through important levels like 116.9K, this will basically become the new red zone. So, please, just have a little more patience. This is another reason why I mentioned the importance of persevering through periods of instability. There will be a great deal of uncertainty this week. Keep a few steady coins on hand in case you need to make a purchase, but I think we can get through this and emerge from it looking great. Right now, discussing the Federal Reserve meeting, what we are mostly keeping an eye on are all the happenings surrounding the FOMC meeting if we are considering XRP, HBAR, and all these other older coins. We have this sample from Cointelegraph right here. Important things happened last week. Retail sales data for Tuesday, August. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve will announce its interest rate decision at a news conference and provide the results of its FOMC rate predictions. The Philadelphia Federal Reserve's Manufacturing Index is next Thursday. Additionally, the preliminary statistics on jobless claims will be released on Thursday. Could this week be a pump or a dump for the market? My prediction is that, similar to what happened in September of last year, when we also received our rate decrease in 2024, this market will soon begin to heat up. September 17th is the date this time. For the sake of discussing Bitcoin in the year 2024, let's do away with the Relative Strength Index. Come on, let's head back here right into September. Once again, our FOMC day was September 18th. The official rate reduction in September came at this time. As a result, Bitcoin's value surged back up to 66.5K. Did it reach a new peak then? Absolutely not. What actually occurred was that it raised the upper limit on the bottom bound of the time frame. We soared over the August peaks. Next, as we entered the first half of October, we established a higher low. Following that, we began to ascend to an even greater peak. This is what I'm keeping an eye on in the market at the moment. After all, we are likely to see a sell-off leading up to the FOMC meeting, correct? Once we break out of the lower period highs, we should witness a significant upward push. We aren't obligated to set a new record for most extreme